how come you talk about people like Buttigieg as a bad point in 2028? Because I think that you're actually bringing up a good point, and I think it's kind of the question of like when you've gone too far. And when I say I want to have a liberal to critique, what I mean is that I want to face the sort of the contradictions of the system and be offered the opportunity to challenge them directly, rather than having to fight stupid, obvious battles, like the right wing saying like, well, should we fluorinate our water? Should vaccines be legal? Like, these are retard topics for retard people, right? Like this, it's like subhumanly stupid. It's ridiculous that a person of, that not mine, but of average intelligence should have to denigrate themselves by like pretending these are serious issues. The problem with Buttigieg is that I think all of these topics of conversation would still be the front line if he was in charge, because he couldn't even bring the national discourse past fascism. Like, he wouldn't be able to address the underlying problems well enough to even advance the dynamic beyond where we're at currently. Like, at this point, we're already in the pit, right? Like, we're not on the precipice of going into the pit. If Buttigieg was one of the candidates back in like 2020 or 2024, well, he wasn't. You know what I mean? Fuck you. If he was like in 2024, if he was like running like Biden didn't run again and Kamala Harris didn't run or whatever, and Buttigieg was in the primary and Buttigieg was the front runner, I would advocate voting for Buttigieg if he was the guy who won the primary, right? Even if I don't like him. But we're already in the pit. I guess what I'm saying is that there's a difference between my standards for what a liberal needs to be to frame the dynamic properly when we're not in the pit and when we are in the pit. And now that we are in the pit, I don't think Buttigieg would even be able to claw us up. I think he would make it worse, because he would manage to, through his competence as a leader, which I'm sure he's got, he would be able to forestall the worst consequences of what the right is doing to this country, but he wouldn't advance us beyond that. It would be like a slow grinding death. You know what I mean? It would, and by the way, after Buttigieg, get ready for your another Republican, okay? 100%. There is no fucking way Buttigieg would meaningfully shift like the fate of this country, like pull it around, you know? At this point, unfortunately, the only way we're getting out of this pit is with like Roosevelt-style liberalism, in which point you might see me being a little bit more enthusiastic. And we've never really been in this place before with our country being run by like obvious traitors and insurrectionists, so it's gonna be like mass arrests as well. I'm not trying to be edgy when I say that. Like, they're all committing crimes every day, like literally every day in the White House, the cabinet, Trump himself, like all of them, just constantly rolling in criminality. All of them. Like the only way out from this, it needs to be like a massive social shift, which Buttigieg simply cannot embody himself. He's not capable of it. He doesn't represent that. I'll support Mark Carney in Canada because they weren't in the pit, right? If they were in the pit, I wouldn't support Mark Carney necessarily, because, and that I feel like he would just prolong. Does that make any sense? The pit is kind of a new thing. You know what I mean? This is the first time that the West has had this like whole pit phenomena going on. It's certainly in America. It's a kind of new. I'm still, I don't have like a concrete worked out theory on this or anything. I don't have like a chart or whatever. But here in the States, like you understand what I mean when I say that Buttigieg just would not fix this, right? You get what I mean? Like, if Buttigieg got in charge, it would be like 4 years of Republican obstructionism, nothing getting done. Buttigieg coming out and occasionally making speeches about how he successfully lowered gas prices by 0.08% and how, like, these marginal economic benefits happen, but nothing changes socially. Every single day, social media gets more and more captured by the right. It becomes more unpopular to be a Democrat because the Democrats become even more associated with banal status quoism than they already are. And then 4 years, then the Republicans win in a landslide because everyone's sick of Democrats and at least Republicans are good at lying. And then we're in the pit like again, but worse. And it takes even longer to get out this time. That's the idea. So he would just be Joe Biden? Yeah, basically. But don't we all agree that Joe Biden ended up being a net negative for the country? Because if Donald Trump had just become president in 2020, he wouldn't have been anywhere near this fucking supercharged. He would have had a cabinet full of like hesitant neoconservatives who were terrified of what he represented and his administration. But after Jan 6, the only people willing to fuck with Trump anymore and work with him and his cabinet are hardcore loyalists. He had time to reconsolidate. He had time to rebuild. If Donald Trump won the presidency back in 2020, don't get me wrong, it would have been bad. But a Democrat would have won in 2024, and I don't think they would have been able to do what they're doing right now. I think that he needed those 4 years to reconsolidate. I don't know. He had prep time. And what did he do with the prep time? Project 2025. A hardcore army of loyalists. He built an army of people. Again, remember that after the 2020 election, after January 6th, he was not that popular. Even Republicans were disgusted with what he did. It took him 4 years of nonstop, unobstructed campaigning and propagandizing to build back an army of people more loyal than ever before. There are no fair weather Trump supporters anymore. They're all lunatic cultists, no matter what they say. Also, yeah, Biden losing in 2020 might have further emboldened the critique against Democrats that centrism is no longer acceptable in this era. You run Hillary Clinton, she loses to Trump. You run Joe Biden, he loses to Trump. The vice president to fucking Obama and the wife of Clinton. You're running people associated with two extremely popular two-term Democratic presidents, and they both lost. It's time for a new voice, a new vision. But there's no doubt the Democrats were willing to accept Biden running again in 2024, before he dropped out, that is, in large part because they thought that Biden's popularity was unique and specific to him because of COVID. Because Biden did so well. He got so many votes in 2020 because people were scared of COVID. And now they think like, oh yeah, only Joe Biden could have done that well. Damn, man. Trump really should have won in 2020. I don't know.